Mercury Marine built what many consider the perfect two-stroke outboard motor. Engines so revolutionary they dominated professional fishing tournaments and set speed records that still stand today. These weren't just good engines, they were legendary. But here's the shocking part. Mercury deliberately killed their own masterpiece. The company that spent decades perfecting two-stroke technology suddenly abandoned it entirely, leaving thousands of passionate boaters wondering what happened to the engines they loved. This isn't just another corporate restructuring story. This is way beyond that. Let's find out. To understand why Mercury's decision was so shocking, you need to understand just how dominant these engines were. In the 1980s and 90s, Mercury's two-stroke outboards weren't just popular, they were practically unstoppable. The secret lay in Mercury's approach to two-stroke technology. While other manufacturers focused on making their engines cheaper or quieter, Mercury obsessed over one thing: power. Their engineers developed a series of innovations that would revolutionize the industry. First came the loop-charged combustion system. Traditional two-strokes had a major problem. They wasted fuel by allowing the fresh fuel-air mixture to escape through the exhaust port. Mercury's loop-charged design used carefully engineered ports and deflectors to keep the fresh mixture in the cylinder while forcing out the burnt gases. The result? Up to 25% better fuel economy and significantly more power. But Mercury didn't stop there. They introduced the first practical direct fuel injection system for two-stroke outboards, the Optimax. This wasn't just an incremental improvement, it was a complete game-changer. By injecting fuel directly into the combustion chamber after the exhaust ports closed, Optimax engines eliminated the fuel waste that plagued traditional two-strokes. The numbers were staggering. Optimax engines delivered 45% better fuel economy than conventional two-strokes, while producing cleaner emissions than many four-stroke competitors. Professional anglers quickly discovered that these engines could run all day on a single tank of fuel while providing the instant throttle response that two-strokes were famous for. Tournament fishing circuits became Mercury's proving ground. Base Masters, FLW Tour, offshore fishing tournaments, Mercury two-strokes dominated them all. When Kevin Van Dam won his first Bassmaster Classic in 2001, professional anglers knew they needed reliability in conditions where engine failure meant lost prize money, and they chose Mercury two-strokes. The recreational market took notice. Boat manufacturers began offering Mercury two-strokes as premium options. These engines commanded higher prices than four-strokes, yet demand remained strong because boaters understood they were getting superior performance. Before we dive into why Mercury abandoned these incredible engines, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and hit that notification bell, because what I'm about to reveal will shock you. Mercury's two-stroke dominance wasn't just about engineering excellence. There were dark secrets behind their success that the company desperately wanted to keep hidden. Mercury's two-stroke advantage came from three key innovations that competitors couldn't match. Understanding these technologies explains why abandoning them was such a controversial decision. The first breakthrough was their advanced port timing and design. Mercury's engineers used computational fluid dynamics, cutting-edge technology in the 1990s, to optimize the shape and timing of every port in their cylinders. This wasn't just trial and error, it was precision engineering that maximized power while minimizing emissions. The second innovation was their proprietary oil injection system. Traditional two-strokes required owners to pre-mix oil with gasoline, leading to either engine damage from too little oil or excessive smoke from too much. Mercury's AutoBlend system automatically mixed the perfect ratio for every operating condition. The engine ran cleaner, lasted longer, and produced less visible emissions. But the third innovation was the most impressive: Mercury's computer-controlled powerhead management. Their engines featured sophisticated electronic systems that monitored everything from engine temperature to fuel mixture, making real-time adjustments that optimized performance. This level of electronic control was unprecedented in two-stroke technology. The results spoke for themselves. Mercury's top-tier two-strokes produced more horsepower per pound than any competitor. They started instantly in any weather, ran smoothly at idle, and delivered brutal acceleration when needed. Fuel economy rivaled four-strokes, while maintenance requirements were actually lower due to fewer moving parts. Professional mechanics loved working on Mercury two-strokes because they were designed for serviceability. Unlike four-strokes with their complex valve trains and timing systems, Mercury two-strokes could be completely rebuilt with basic tools. Parts were widely available, and the engines were known for running reliably even when neglected. The racing community embraced Mercury two-strokes with religious fervor. Offshore racing teams running Mercury engines set speed records that stood for decades. The distinctive sound of a Mercury two-stroke at full throttle became the soundtrack of competitive boating. But perhaps most importantly, Mercury two-strokes delivered something that modern four-strokes still struggle to match: character. These engines had personality. They responded to throttle inputs with immediacy that made them feel alive. Experienced boaters could diagnose problems by sound alone and coax extra performance through subtle throttle and steering techniques. This emotional connection between boater and engine created fierce brand loyalty. Mercury two-stroke owners didn't just buy engines. They joined a community of enthusiasts who shared maintenance tips, performance modifications, and stories of adventures powered by their beloved motors. By the late 1990s, Mercury's two-stroke dominance faced an existential threat: environmental regulations. The California Air Resources Board, CARB, and the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, were developing emission standards that would fundamentally change the outboard motor industry. The problem wasn't just about cleaner air, it was about the fundamental physics of two-stroke engines. Traditional two-strokes inherently produced higher hydrocarbon emissions because of their scavenging process. Even Mercury's advanced Optimax engines, while dramatically cleaner than conventional two-strokes, still struggled to meet the proposed emission standards. Mercury's engineers faced a dilemma. They could continue refining two-stroke technology, investing millions in research to meet increasingly strict emission standards. Or they could pivot to four-stroke technology, where meeting emission standards was relatively straightforward. The timeline was brutal. New emission standards would take effect in phases, starting in 2006 and becoming progressively stricter through 2010. Mercury had less than a decade to either perfect clean two-stroke technology or completely retool their manufacturing and development processes for four-strokes. Internal company documents from this period reveal intense debates between Mercury's engineering teams. The two-stroke advocates, led by engineers who had spent their careers perfecting these engines, argued that direct fuel injection technology could be further advanced to meet any emission standard. They pointed to Mercury's technological advantages and the massive investment already made in two-stroke development. The four-stroke faction, however, had compelling arguments. Honda and Yamaha were already producing four-stroke outboards that met emission standards while delivering smooth, quiet operation that many recreational boaters preferred. The technology was proven, the manufacturing processes were well understood, and the regulatory path was clear. This internal battle at Mercury reveals something fascinating about corporate decision-making that most people never see. Hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying these behind-the-scenes insights, and let me know in the comments if you've ever owned a Mercury two-stroke. I'd love to hear your stories. Now coming back, Market research complicated the decision further. While professional anglers and performance enthusiasts remained loyal to two-strokes, the broader recreational market was shifting toward four-strokes. Families wanted quieter engines for water sports. Pontoon boat owners prioritized smooth, idle, and low maintenance over peak performance. The writing was on the wall, but it was written in a language that Mercury's leadership didn't want to read. Their most successful, most profitable, and most technologically advanced product line was facing extinction. Not because of technical limitations, but because of regulatory and market forces beyond their control. What happened next reveals just how committed Mercury was to preserving their two-stroke legacy. The company developed advanced direct injection technology that promised to deliver four-stroke emission levels with traditional two-stroke performance. The engineering challenges were immense. The injection system required pressures over 500 psi, with timing accuracy measured in microseconds. The engine management computer needed to monitor dozens of parameters in real time, adjusting injection timing and duration for optimal performance under every operating condition. Mercury's engineers succeeded brilliantly. Their advanced direct injection engines met EPA emission standards while delivering fuel economy that actually exceeded many four-strokes. The technology was so advanced that it attracted attention from automotive manufacturers looking for clean, efficient engine solutions. But there was a problem that Mercury's marketing department couldn't solve: cost. Advanced direct injection engines required expensive high-pressure fuel systems, sophisticated engine management computers, and precision manufacturing that drove production costs far above traditional two-strokes or even four-strokes. The retail price premium was substantial. An advanced direct injection engine cost 30 to 40% more than a comparable four-stroke, putting it out of reach for many recreational boaters. The complexity also concerned marine dealers who worried about servicing these high-tech engines in remote locations. Professional anglers and performance enthusiasts embraced the technology, but the broader market remained skeptical. Many boaters had heard horror stories about expensive repairs on early direct injection systems. Others simply preferred the proven reliability of conventional four-stroke engines. Market penetration remained disappointing despite the technological breakthrough. Mercury had created advanced two-stroke engines, but perfect wasn't enough to overcome cost and perception barriers in a changing market. In 2008, Mercury Marine made an announcement that sent shockwaves through the boating industry. They would discontinue most two-stroke production and focus entirely on four-stroke engines. However, Mercury actually continued producing their Optimax two-stroke engines until May 2018, when production finally ended. The decision effectively ended an era that had defined the company for decades. The announcement was carefully worded to emphasize Mercury's commitment to environmental responsibility and customer satisfaction. But industry insiders understood the real reasons. Manufacturing economics, regulatory compliance costs, and market trends had made two-stroke production unsustainable. The decision wasn't made lightly. Internal projections showed that continuing two-stroke development would require massive investments in emissions technology with uncertain returns. Meanwhile, four-stroke technology offered a clear path to regulatory compliance with proven market acceptance. Mercury's dealers were divided. Some supported the decision, arguing that four-stroke engines offered better long-term business prospects. Others worried about losing customers who remained loyal to two-stroke performance and reliability. The professional fishing community reacted with dismay. Tournament anglers who had built their careers around Mercury, two-stroke performance suddenly faced the prospect of switching to unfamiliar four-stroke technology. Some threatened to defect to competitors who still offered two-stroke options. The legacy of Mercury's two-stroke dominance lives on in the used boat market, where these engines command premium prices decades after production ended. Professional mechanics who understand two-stroke technology are in high demand, and parts suppliers continue serving a dedicated community of enthusiasts. But perhaps the most lasting impact is technological. Mercury's innovations in direct injection, electronic engine management, and emission control influenced the entire industry. The lessons learned from e-tech development informed the design of modern four-stroke engines, making them more efficient and reliable. Today's Mercury four-strokes incorporate many concepts pioneered in their two-stroke development. The company's commitment to performance and innovation continues, even if the distinctive sound of a high-performance two-stroke has faded from tournament fishing circuits. The story of Mercury's perfect two-stroke serves as a reminder that engineering excellence isn't always enough to ensure commercial success. Sometimes the best technology loses to market forces, regulatory requirements, and changing consumer preferences. For those who experienced Mercury's two-stroke golden age, the memories remain vivid. The instant throttle response, the distinctive exhaust note, and the confidence that came from running proven tournament-winning technology. These engines may have disappeared from showrooms, but their influence on marine engineering continues to this day. What Mercury's executives didn't anticipate was the passionate underground movement that would emerge after two-stroke production ended. Across the country, independent mechanics, performance shops, and dedicated enthusiasts began hoarding parts, rebuilding engines, and developing aftermarket solutions to keep these legendary motors running. The used market exploded with unprecedented demand. Mercury two-strokes that originally sold for $8,000 new were commanding $12,000 or more in good condition. Rare high-performance models like the 300XS became collector's items, with pristine examples selling for more than modern four-strokes of equivalent horsepower. This wasn't just nostalgia driving prices, it was performance reality. Independent dyno testing consistently showed that well-maintained Mercury two-strokes produced more peak horsepower and torque than their four-stroke replacements. The power-to-weight ratio remained unmatched, making these engines incredibly valuable for competitive applications where every pound mattered. Professional fishing guides discovered they could maintain competitive advantages by keeping their Mercury two-strokes running. While tournament anglers were forced to adapt to four-stroke technology, charter boat captains and guides operating in remote locations valued the simplicity and field repairability of two-stroke engines. A broken two-stroke could often be fixed with basic tools and readily available parts, while a disabled four-stroke might require specialized diagnostic equipment and factory technicians. The aftermarket response was remarkable. Companies like Powerhead Remanufacturing, Marine Engine Depot, and dozens of smaller specialists emerged to serve the growing demand for two-stroke parts and service. These businesses didn't just maintain existing engines, they improved them, incorporating modern materials and manufacturing techniques to enhance reliability and performance beyond original specifications. Some aftermarket companies went further, developing performance upgrades that Mercury never offered. High-compression pistons, ported cylinders, modified exhaust systems, and advanced ignition timing created two-stroke engines that produced 20 to 30% more power than stock configurations. These modified engines became legends in offshore racing circles, where the distinctive scream of a built Mercury two-stroke at 7,000 RPM became the sound of victory. While Mercury abandoned two-stroke production in North America, international markets told a different story. Countries with less stringent emission regulations continued demanding two-stroke technology for commercial and recreational applications. This created an unusual situation where Mercury's global competitors gained significant advantages in these markets. Yamaha's HPDI, high-pressure direct injection, two-strokes continued production for international markets, incorporating many of the same technologies that Mercury had pioneered. Evinrude's ETEC line, which had licensed some Mercury innovations, became the de facto standard for two-stroke technology worldwide. These engines proved that clean, efficient two-stroke technology was not only possible but commercially viable in the right regulatory environment. The irony wasn't lost on industry observers. Mercury had developed the most advanced two-stroke technology in the world, then handed market leadership to competitors who continued refining and marketing similar concepts. International fishing tournaments, offshore racing events, and commercial marine applications increasingly featured non-Mercury two-strokes that incorporated Mercury's original innovations. This international success story highlighted what many considered Mercury's strategic mistake. Instead of finding ways to continue two-stroke development for specific market segments, the company had chosen to phase out production, leaving profitable niches to competitors who proved those markets remained viable. Mercury's transition to four-stroke technology wasn't entirely smooth. Early four-stroke engines suffered from complexity issues, weight penalties, and performance characteristics that disappointed former two-stroke enthusiasts. The company's initial four-stroke offerings were partnerships with Honda and Yamaha, an embarrassing admission that Mercury lacked internal four-stroke expertise despite decades of marine engine development. Weight became a particular problem. Mercury's legendary 200-horsepower two-stroke weighed just 385 pounds, while equivalent four-stroke engines tipped the scales at over 500 pounds. This weight penalty affected boat performance, fuel economy, and handling characteristics in ways that many boaters found unacceptable. Maintenance complexity also proved challenging. Two-stroke owners were accustomed to simple maintenance schedules and straightforward repairs. Four-stroke engines required oil changes, valve adjustments, timing belt replacements, and other services that increased operating costs and downtime. Marine mechanics needed additional training and specialized tools, creating service bottlenecks that frustrated customers. The performance character difference was perhaps most significant. Four-stroke engines delivered power smoothly and predictably, but lacked the explosive acceleration and instant throttle response that defined two-stroke personality. Professional anglers complained that four-strokes couldn't duplicate the precise boat control that made two-strokes superior for fishing applications. Mercury's engineering teams worked frantically to address these limitations. Supercharged four-strokes like the Verado line attempted to restore two-stroke-like performance characteristics through forced induction, but added complexity and cost. The company invested heavily in weight reduction, developing aluminum engine blocks and lightweight components that gradually improved four-stroke power-to-weight ratios. Beyond technical specifications and market dynamics, Mercury's two-stroke era created a marine culture that continues influencing boating today. The engines fostered a generation of mechanically savvy boaters who understood their equipment intimately and took pride in maintaining and modifying their motors. This hands-on culture contrasted sharply with modern boating, where complex four-stroke engines discourage owner maintenance and modifications. The simplicity of two-stroke technology had created a community of enthusiasts who shared knowledge, competed in informal performance contests, and developed lifelong friendships around their common passion for these remarkable engines. The sound of Mercury two-strokes became part of America's recreational soundtrack. Lake communities, fishing tournaments, and boat races were defined by the distinctive exhaust notes of high-performance two-strokes. That sound represented freedom, adventure, and the pursuit of aquatic excellence in ways that modern four-stroke engines simply cannot match. Today, when a pristine Mercury two-stroke fires up at a boat ramp or fishing tournament, heads turn and conversations stop. These engines represent a lost era of marine engineering excellence, when performance mattered more than compliance, when engines had character rather than just efficiency ratings, and when Mercury Marine built what many still consider the perfect outboard motor.